We want to invite you to watch this podcast with Concejal Charisse Abalos Vargas. A true animal lover. She is many things to many people in many different ways, serving her Mandaluyong constituents. Daughter, granddaughter, to the family that has been working with Mandaluyong for many, many years. She is a blessing to her constituents. A family that believes much in community, and including in that community, the pets. Truth of this is in her early venture into Pet Ko Love Ko, a program she put into place as early as, I believe, in 2014. She has a beautiful soul, a beautiful smile, which you will be able to see, and a true animal advocate and animal welfare lover. So, with no further ado, here, please join us in our conversations with Charisse, Ma'am Charisse. Thank you po. Hello, mga kabiyaya. Nandito po kami ngayon with the Honorable Charisse Abalos Vargas po. We are very happy to have her here because siya ang talaga masasabi ko is real pet lover po siya. Hindi make-up lang, hindi lang nagpapakita. Alam po namin na meron siyang talagang puso para sa mga aso at pusa. Kasi meron siyang mga ibang programa, katulad ng Love Ko Pet Ko na nagsimula ng 2014.
Yes.
Oo. So anyway, with here is Charisse. Thank you so much, Honorable Charisse.
Thank you, Miss Rina. Thank you. At bumabati rin ako sa ating mga kabiyaya. I hope, I'm amazed by your facilities. I'm amazed by what BI has been doing for Mandaluyong. So thank you for having me here, ma'am.
Oo. We wanted to invite you kasi I've been looking at the posts of your mother, of your post, your family. Mm-mm. At yung napansin ko po is mostly you're very community-driven.
Yes, ma'am.
A family that's very community-driven. That is very involved in all areas of community, and it's really heartwarming na you include the pets in our community. So can you tell us a little bit more about how this started? Were you a pet lover since you were small? Because I was told that your family really have dogs.
Yes.
Right? And now you're telling me earlier you had cats as well.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your pet history.
All right. I grew up with pets. I never once, in a moment in my life where I didn't have a dog or even a pet goldfish, or we had pets. My father is an avid dog lover, and as for some Mandaleños that might know, he's also a horse breeder. For racing, actually.
Okay.
So, when it comes to animals, mahilig po talaga kami. And up until now, when I have my babies, I have my own home. I also still have pets. So, for me, they're more than just property, they're family talaga. In fact, I call my dog my middle child kasi may panganay ako, may middle child ako, and then I have my bunso na anak talaga. So,
okay. And how is your husband taking okay naman siya at pet lover din or tinitiis?
Yun. He was tolerant at first of dogs, but now parang he has no choice. He has no choice. The dog sleeps in bed with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of dog po?
I can only do small dogs. So I have a Shih Tzu, I have a Chihuahua, and I do have a Cocker Spaniel pala. Yun. But she's not allowed in the bedroom kasi she's big na. But ayun, they're sweet. They're family. So.
And how are they with your children?
They're very gentle, but I do always remind my kids, that if they ever get hurt by the dog, I won't be blaming the dog, because I've been telling them from the start that a dog will always be a dog. They'll react if they get hurt. They'll react if you're too wild on them or too naughty with them. You must always be gentle with the dogs. So dun ko na realize, like pets like Shih Tzus that are more gentle, they have more temperament for kids. But the smaller ones like the Chihuahua, you really, really, really have to train your kids and not the pet. Yeah.
But, you know, it's interesting because also my own children. And I realized they learned unconditional love.
Yes.
From the animals, right?
Yes.
We had Aspen that used to pull my son's pants at around 8:30. Dinadala niya, parang matulog na tayo.
He knows the routine.
Yeah, he knows the routine, right?
Yeah.
So, it really taught them responsibility, and it taught them unconditional love.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree, actually. You have those soft skills that are honed in on kids, especially if they're more in touch with animals compared to those.
And so tell us about your Love Ko Pet Ko.
Okay. It's actually Pet Ko Love Ko. It's
Pet Ko Love Ko.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
It was during the time when I first became councilor. That was when our city pet shelter, dog shelter, was opened for about close to 3 years na. Take note, it was a shelter at the time. And every time we had budget hearings, every time we had updates from our city vet, no matter what, a shelter will always have the best of intentions. But take note, a shelter also means may capacity lang siya. May kakayanan lang siya. And this is the reality of it. For every one dog that was lucky enough to be adopted, we would get 20 or 30 more that would be abandoned. Talagang malaki yung imbalance. So at first we did, this is on my part when I became a councilor, by the way. First we did information drive on adoption. We really tried to promote. We even took photos of the dogs. We even trained the dogs. Si Manda and Luyong. I don't know if you've heard.
Yes,
the famous mascots of our shelter at that time. They're still there.
Okay.
And they're trained for bomb sniff and drug.
I heard from Doc Louie nga.
Yeah. So we're really showing na hindi porket Aspen they're any less capable than any dogs with breed. So, but it wasn't working as well. And I realized we had no choice but to convert to a pound, because this is a hard decision to make. But the truth of the matter is, it may have been called a shelter, but it was far from being a home for the dogs there. They were overcrowded. Dogs with diseases were spreading it to other dogs. And it was draining on the budget of the city. We had to prioritize as well. Of course, the vet is part of our health program, but you have other priority projects as well. So as much as you want to put money in it, if it's really not sustainable, it was going to be difficult. So slowly but surely, we started converting it to a pound, but not before we also drafted the ordinance called the Code of Pet Ownership or Pet Owner Responsibility in the city. So number one, we made sure that upon registration of your pet, only, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 150 or 200 pesos lang, you're already granted free vaccination, and you can even have free kapon. And then with that, nakalista rin lahat ng other ordinances that penalize the owner for their irresponsible actions. For example, if you don't walk your dog or you don't put him on a leash in public, you're violating the ordinance. If your dog, what do you call this? If your dog in public, I don't know if I can say the word in the podcast.
Does his business.
Yes, if he does his business in public, and you didn't take care of it, then the owner is also held liable. So things like that. But sensitive things like, for example, noise, medyo mahirap because noise is a very subjective thing to measure. What could be noisy to something might not be noisy to someone else, to others. So that was at point of contention, but we are working on things like that naman until now. And last but not least, we also launched the Pet Ko Love Ko. So what is Pet Ko Love Ko? we discounted the pet registration, but with that we were able to again give free shots, free coupon. We gave contests, we had seminars, we had giveaways, and we tied it up with the NGOs in Mandaluyong for yung mga pet NGOs, the pet advocates. So with them, with their help, we were able to spread the word. And I think at most, we were able to spay and neuter up to 700 cats and dogs in one day. That was our record. Oh yeah, and we had pet blessing pa for that. So we did it annually. Yeah. So we did that annually. But it stopped nung pandemic. And it hasn't returned since. But I'm glad that with Biyaya now, the advocacy for spay and neutering, the advocacy for yung pagbabakuna, nag-e-effort kayo with Doc Louie, our city vet, from barangay to barangay. And as I understand, ma'am, you have a mass kapon on September 3?
September 3, we're planning to, hopefully, if we get the, because we can
the venue,
plan. No, we have the venue.
Oh.
Namayan,
okay.
yeah. And then, but it's also contingent on if they bring the pets.
Yes, ma'am.
So hopefully we will really find a way for the pets to be brought.
Yes.
And we hope to do 1,000 on that day. And aside from that, with the vaccinations, we hope to get other sponsors to, give a little something as an enticement to come, no? Yeah, we want to do that and we want to advocate that, and we really want sana na Mandaluyong to be the flagship of animal welfare. But as you said, you can only do so much. Nasa tao na yung iba.
Yes, ma'am.
Yung iba kasi pasaway din.
Yes. Actually, it's so easy to get a pet. Ang dami dyan nagre-regalo as a pet. Or you can say na they would love their pet, pero nagugulat sila, ay, nabuntis pala, wala pang 1-year-old.
Oo.
And then, you have a litter. You'll take care of that litter. And then before you know it, nabuntis na naman.
Yeah.
And then, you try to give those pets away kasi hindi mo na kaya. And they would end up with people that don't know how to take care of the said pet like them. But then, they're not spayed or neutered. Dadami lang ulit. So, that's the cycle eh. We have to say na pet ownership really should go beyond sheltering and giving them food or ano. Talagang dapat dun even the consideration of spaying and neutering your pet must always be there.
I think that's the most important one, and it would be great if people would participate, right? The problem sometimes arises like if it's a little bit difficult. Meaning, I'll tell you, we had in Addition Hills, right? And then when it's lessening na, there's less of a crowd, I go house to house. And there's one that's 20 meters from where we were doing spay-neuter, and say,
ba't hindi mo dinala? Lapit lang namin.
Pwede kong dalhin, something like that. So sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe in it.
Yes.
It's funny because the men think they're the ones gonna be kapon.
I agree. That's
Parang,
usually the reaction that
diba?
I get.
And it's like hindi ikaw, yung aso mo,
Yes.
right? And I have photos in my cell phone to show you can get TVT, you
Yes.
can get cancer, the dogs can get cancer, and it's very hard to treat.
Parang they still believe that it would I think affect their character.
Yes.
It would affect their behavior na they won't be as alpha na raw, yung ganon.
Or some are very Catholic. I also have that. So parang it's like, no, it's not Catholic. You have to think of it of the
kasi
suffering.
you're going against nature.
Yes,
parang ganon.
parang ganon.
No.
So it's like, I've met a lot of kinds, and I'm sure still some that I haven't imagined.
Yes,
but,
yes.
so it's like, it's an education, and that's why sometimes I keep telling Doc Louie, I think it's very hard to reach when there's certain age na. We have to concentrate on
I agree, yeah.
the younger ones, no? So, but that again is this lack also of, sometimes I feel, when they, like, I tell them, okay, you feed, okay lang ma-feed, kaso lang, they'll become so healthy that they will reproduce.
Yes.
Right? So let's do that, because some people really feel some sort of fulfillment, purpose na nagpapakain sila.
Mm-mm,
And that's great. Kaso lang,
You're also attracting.
and did you talk to your neighbor?
Yes.
Because
They will also be affected.
nagkakalat
Yeah.
yung pusa dyan or whatever, right? And, do you have a designated place where they can
Yes.
do their business
Yes.
and stuff like that? And this, I don't know why, but there is this lack of communications, which we hope sana we can
Yes.
break through.
Actually, aside from the pet ko, love ko, aside from the September 3 drill, September 3 mass kapon, we started last week. We call this the pamahalaan sa pamayanan. Basically, all the services that you see in the city hall, not just for pets, but you also have vaccination for people, eyeglass check-up, if you have civil registry problem with your birth certificate, everything, peso for employment, you're talking registration of business, real property tax, all the works in the city hall, we bring them down sa barangay level.
That's
so it's
fantastic.
pamayanan sa pamahalaan. We started last week at Tivoli.
Yeah, so
in
I saw that
Holo.
post.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Blockbuster si Doc Louie.
Oh.
Ang pinaka-pinilahan. Like, we were there, we were talking about the project and what it offers.
Showbiz na siya.
But not everyone was listening because most of the crowd was there with Doc Louie. The rest are like with dental and ano.
Yeah.
But like, so we saw a hunger for it. We saw that people are looking for the service. So yes, we assume there might be distrust. Like some people are like when they see, oy, city vet, yan, baka maabuso yung animal dyan. But in Mandaluyong, kami na po yung bumababa sa lugar nyo. Para yung alaga po ninyo, maano nyo. Ang dami po for deworming, for vaccination. And ma'am, hopefully baka pwede tayo with kapon. When we do this, And this weekend, we will be going to the Banahaw condominium in Highway Hills naman. So every Saturday yan, we will be going to different, we started first with barangay levels and then we realized we haven't touched the private ones, the condos and the subdivision. So dun muna yung rounds namin for the next
actually, we have a deal with Doc Louie. Pag indigent, pwedeng kapon. Because some people, they can't come, let's say that day. So they can come to Katarungan and then we can do it there as long as they show their indigency.
Yes.
So that's really good. No, you're right. There's always that pasaway or difficult. There's also very helpful, I remember I was in Fabella Street and I saw puppies and then a mama dog and a papa dog and then so I stopped. And then, so I talked to them and I said, what are you going to do with the puppy? So I picked up the puppies, I picked up the mama dog, I picked up the father. And then they said, can you return the father? Kasi bantay natin. So I said, okay. So I personally picked them up. And while I was picking up, Sari-Sari store came and said, nandito pala si Biyaya. So my name na is Biyaya. It's not Rina. So nandito pala si Biyaya, ma'am. Pwede ma-picture, ganon. So they really... I think they're staying in tune. You have a community that stays in tune, and that's very important because it's very hard when they're, out to lunch, when they're not checked in.
Yes.
So they obviously know, and it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling because it's happened more than twice or 3 times, right? So, and it's a way to communicate and to get in touch with the needs of your constituents.
Yes, ma'am.
I remember we went to a place outside, somewhere in Cavite, and the mayor there, when I offered it, and then parang, okay, sige, whatever, parang nakisama lang, right? And then finally, when we did it, that day we did 400 in one day, and he came to me and he goes, di ko alam na ganito pala.
Yes,
I said, kung hindi ka pet owner, hindi mo alam.
Totoo yan, yes
right?
po.
So you need to get involved in all the things of your leadership.
Yes, ma'am.
Understand and talk to your people, right? And then it will come out. And it's something you guys are in touch with because you're pet lovers.
Yes. And actually, ma'am, because we did this, I think I've had 2 barangay captains na rin na ganun lang sila, accommodating, okay, kasi si konsehala nagbaba
Yeah.
ng project But when it happened, ma'am, di ko akalain ganun kahaba yung pila, ganun pala karami yung pet owners sa amin. I think I've had about 2 or 3 kapitans that were shocked because they're not pet owners
Yeah, actually nearby there are 2 kapitans
magkapatid.
Oo. It's very funny, and when we entered, kasi Doc Louis said, "Ma'am, samahan mo na lang ako." So when we entered, and then it's so funny because the guy sitting on the kapitan's desk was not the kapitan of that barangay. It was his brother.
Yes.
And then so we were talking. I said, he goes, no, yeah, he'll agree. And I said, wait. Then who are you? Right? And he goes, no, we're brothers. I thought they were joking because one is very tall and one is short, one is round and white, and one is dark and tall. And so I was like, are you serious? You're like pulling my leg. You know, I couldn't believe it, right? So when we got into the car, Doc Louie and I were like, he was like, "Oy, maganda. Okay sila. Ganito, ganon." So I said, they're really brothers? And they said, yeah, they're really brothers. I said, you could have fooled me.
They're really brothers.
Yeah, but like that, because they're appreciative already because they know. It's really that initial breaking of the ice.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And so, ma'am, what do you think, how are you gonna go forward? So, by the way, we're negotiating now with the microchips.
Yes, ma'am.
And hopefully...
Is this pet density?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're negotiating, and hopefully during the our event, we will introduce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also invited them to the PSP. They had a meeting with Vice Mayor, and I've heard of them even before they started, I think, in Baguio or Makati.
Yeah.
And I really said I wanted the same, but as I said, with budget constraints,
it's difficult.
It is difficult. So what we can do is, at least for pet owners, nakalibre naman sila sa shot, nakalibre naman sila. Maybe they can get na lang their dogs and cats tagged.
Yeah.
So
we're planning. We're hoping to include that.
Yeah.
Because in a way, it's an introduction, and people like free.
Yeah.
Pinoys like free.
That's true.
So we're gonna try to figure it out as a way to introduce that you are a fur parent.
Yes.
You're not an owner. You're a parent.
Yes.
Magulang ka. So this is how you're going to take care of your animals para pag nawala also, you know.
Yeah, that's true. They're identified. If you ever lose their medical records, it's there. I mean, you don't have to worry about anything. And you don't have to worry. Let's say, for example, because some people, they allow their dogs to roam, right? Yes.
Kung accidentally naapakan or what, tapos nakagat yung tao, it's a big relief for the human that you say, oh no, we've identified the dog, it's been taken care of, you still have to go for your post-exposure shot, but at least we know the dog has been vaccinated. And actually, when we did I mentioned the ordinance earlier, madalas ring mangyari na when we catch a dog doing his business in public, hanapin namin yung owner, madalas, dine-deny, hindi ko aso yan. You know, kasi they want to escape punishment. But now, if you have that, you can't deny. No, and that's the thing. Unfortunately, you have to have those measures, right? If everybody were forthright and then it wouldn't be difficult. So, in a way, people think that they're free when they don't need to have any responsibility, but they're not. Their conscience is not free if something should happen. Yes. Right? I think your freedom only goes as far as the potential harm and consequence you can bring to others. If you're not responsible with your pet, kahit na alaga mo yan, how are you gonna account for the fact that others might be affected because of that naman, diba? And I always think there should be a balance between said freedom and security. You also want a community to be harmonious and safe. As per one, you might have freedom, but everyone's just doing whatever they want. Ang hirap din naman nun. No, but you know, it goes also down to community, right? For example, if there's harmony in the community, even if it's not a kissy-kissy, huggy-huggy.
Yes.
But there's respect.
Mm-mm.
This is where it's very important,
Yes.
right? And it's funny because when you study anatomy, when you study atoms, each cell, there's cells within that cell.
Yeah.
So they're not individual na
Yeah.
wala. There's no such thing as individuality.
That's true.
Right?
Each has a role to play.
And you know, how do we now take care of it? In fact, there was here in where's this, near Katarungan. I was driving home one day and I saw this dog outside the gate. So obviously nakawala yung dog and wanted to go back in the gate. Alam mo, I called the neighbor. It was 10 plus na. Then no, that's their dog. Ganito, ganon. Kami na magbantay. Lagay natin muna dito kasi nakaalis. So, si Aling ganito, siguro tulog na. So, bukas na. So, she took in the dog.
Yeah.
And I was like,
why?
Yeah, diba?
What's your dog doing outside?
Outside, di ba?
Yeah.
So yun.
I remember the time I almost kidnapped my neighbor's dog as well. I was on my way home. I saw a dog, naawa ako. I brought him home. Sabi ko, so I gave him food, ganyan. Because I thought the dog was lost. Only for my neighbor to knock like 2 hours later looking for his dog. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I kidnapped your dog. Because I didn't know it was his.
No, and you'll really be worried about the dog because it can get run over, especially dogs that are not, they're not used to the street.
Yes.
They didn't grow up in the street. And that's the other thing Doc Louie and I always talk about.
You can tell
You can tell kaagad. You can tell kaagad.
Especially when it's easy to call them. You know na alaga yung dog.
Yeah, exactly. No, and at the end of the day, I want people to understand that you have a role as a, you know, in terms of discipline, in terms of public safety.
Yes.
And it's not because
it's not
of
just the government.
Yes.
It's not just the barangay. It should be everyone involved. It really
Everyone
should be.
involved. And I think events like what you have, Pet Ko Love Ko,
The PSP.
yes, and all of that, is a creative way to bring people together.
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. I'm trying to think right now, how would you see yourself moving forward?
Oh yeah, you asked that earlier
Yeah.
as well. So aside from those efforts and projects, we also want to say, although I don't want to sound morbid, but we also have a pet crematorium. Okay, the spay and neuter, I was also inspired because, as I said, I had a Chihuahua. He was 2 kilograms. When I got him neutered, I had to spend 13,000 pesos, okay, in a private clinic. So now we're giving them for free. And when that said Chihuahua at 13 years old, he had problems that went with aging. It was so sad for me. But when it was time for him to leave, I looked for a crematory service, and at 2 kilograms, I was charged 10,000 pesos. So here in the city, I asked our city cemetery. Apparently, almost every day, they would always get calls. Can we bury our pet there? Can we? But unfortunately, we cannot due to hygienic reasons.
Correct.
Then,
Oo.
so there was really no proper way to dispose of pets. And if you cannot afford those crematories, the private crematories, mahirap for pet owners. So now we have the pet crematory. If I'm not mistaken, parang if you are 10 kilos and below, it's only 1,000 pesos. And the good thing about that project is not only are you providing a cheaper way for pet owners to mourn their loss, but you're also providing better sustainability sa pound namin. Because the money that we earn from the crematory just goes back around to the sustainability.
That's the system. Okay,
That's the system that we have. That's at least one way to making sure the city pound is more sustainable. So that's one of our latest projects. And we're open for more. The microchipping, we are looking into this, but maybe for now, hopefully the pet owners are willing muna na sila muna.
No, because you have other projects you were mentioning. No, you have this.
I'm sorry.
You were you had a college. Were you putting up a university?
Yes, actually.
Because I want them to see.
Can I
how,
say that? Also,
yes.
beyond pet ownership.
Yeah,
okay.
because people might say na, madami pera naman yung Mandaluyong.
Yeah.
Right? So bakit hindi nabuhos dito?
Yes.
And I keep saying there are many needs. So
Yes.
please tell us.
Thank you. So we came from a pandemic. if we can understand that a city or any LGU can get income not just from taxes but from real property and businesses. Unfortunately, Mandaluyong, being the second smallest city in Metro Manila, our real property is also very small. We are only 21 square kilometers. That's very, very small. And 1/3 of that is already the Welfareville compound, which is owned by the national government, and the other one is also owned by Wakwak Country Club. So, saan pa
maliit
tayo
pala.
kukuha ng income? So, maliit na maliit talagang Mandaluyong. When the lockdown happened, imagine 70% of our income is from the businesses. And when the lockdown happened, what closed? The businesses. Diba? So, yeah. And then, but you know what? That didn't stop us. Mandaluyong made sure we were I think the second city in the entire Philippines that became nasabihan ng DOH that's with a what's this? Immune population. We made sure so that we can open the businesses as soon as possible. We were the first city that opened inoculation for everyone, not just Mandaleños, but everyone. Yeah, we opened.
Kaya
po,
pala Tiger City.
yeah, kami nauna. Because the priority then is we had to open as soon as possible. So when it did, we are going back to normal now. And good news, we just opened the new hospital at 3 to 5 times the capacity of our older hospital. But bigger capacity also means bigger manpower and more utilities. We had to prioritize that in our budget. Next to that would be our soon-to-open Mandaluyong City College. So, ang saya rin namin dyan because of the pandemic, it got delayed for about 2 to 3 years. It was supposed to open 2021. And it's 2023 na. We thought we were gonna open 2024, but the good news is, and thank you to Congressman and to Ched, napabilis yung permit to operate. But now we're having to realign budget again because we need manpower, we need facilities. But imagine, this will be free. This will be free tuition for Mandaleños, indigent. But since it's in a rush, we can only accommodate 200 slots for this school year, but we will gradually increase as the years come by. So the courses that we will be offering will be communications, information systems, and mathematics. Those are the first 3 courses, and we will be offering more again as the years go by.
Veterinary.
Why not?
Diba?
Because actually, if you want to know what the college will be called, it's going to be called MCST, Mandaluyong College of Science and Technology.
Yun.
So it really will be geared to STEM subjects.
You know, this is good we're having this conversation because like vet techs and vet nurses, it's not a real course. Yet. So we can do test that type if ever, right?
Yes.
It's and that would be really
we'll
great.
be more than open to that,
you
ma'am.
know, and we'd be so happy to
and here's another pala, ma'am.
Go.
We were offered actually a test the course on grooming.
Yun.
Would you believe pala, there is no official certificate course pala on grooming. And sabi ko, ang laking bagay neto because in the community, not only will you be giving livelihood to others, but you're also assuring the safety of the pet. If someone's certified, diba, on grooming then. So ma'am, watch out for that. I'll offer it too once we open that trend. Our test that will offer
because that's the thing that I'm very interested in is education, right? Education, because at the end of the day, that fulfillment and that purpose is there kasi meron kang ginagawa. That's what I always tell these guys here na parang, hey, wait a second. Hindi to pinapakain lang yung aso. Hindi lang nagka-clock in, clock out. Nasaan yung, in Spanish we call it amor propio, which is basically pride. But the right kind of pride, not the fried chicken. You know? So it's like when you have that, you have a purpose. And when you have a purpose, it is a different kind of income. It's
true.
Psychic income.
That's true.
And it builds on your person, on your character. And it's something you pass on to
others. That's true.
Without
you can
knowing.
Influence to others.
Yes, without knowing that, hey, you know, you're somebody who does something in a certain way. And they'll say, uy, tinan mo to, yung ganito. Di, parang without knowing, you're influencing na pala. right? So, that's really great. And if we can have veterinary services,
I would
diba?
love that. You know what, Ma'am Buti, you suggested that. I can also suggest that with if not with the college yet, we can look into our manpower.
Yeah.
Because again, award-winning din ng manpower ng Mandaluyong. Okay, when most other LGUs would have 1 to 2 graduations per year, we can get up to 4 graduations in a year. Ganun ka-active yung manpower na. Ma'am, for one meeting, I'll set you up with them.
Because for me, really honestly, these are very interesting pursuits, jobs, or I wouldn't call them jobs, but it's passion.
Yes,
There's
ma'am.
something, and when you connect with an animal,
Yes.
some people don't have it.
Actually, motherhood for me was difficult in terms of breastfeeding, in terms of everything else, but in figuring out my baby's cues, it was easy because having a pet,
Exactly.
it taught me, my pets taught me how to watch out for nonverbal cues, and it helped me with my baby.
You see? So you see, at the end of the day, you learn from them. I always learn from them, right? And they teach you things that maybe you don't even, it doesn't record in your head na tinuturo nila ako or what, but it happens, like you said, non-verbal cues, right? And really, I really feel like the development of a dog, especially the breeds.
Yes.
Although Aspins for me are just the same, they're great, but the breeds were developed because man needed to develop.
Yes.
So we have the herding dogs,
The
we
guard
have the guard
dogs.
dogs, we have the working dogs, we have the hunting dogs,
We have the lap dogs.
lap dogs, companion
Yeah.
dogs. We have the water dogs. You know, poodles are water dogs.
Yes.
You know, Labradors are water dogs.
Yes.
Why? Because they help man. So they develop
With
together.
us. Yeah.
The cat was a female. She was always the companion of the woman of the house for the mice.
I see. For the domestic problems. For
Yes,
yeah.
you see. So it's very interesting to look at it in that way.
That's true, yeah.
Right? And so you have to think about it. They say it takes about we get imprinted. Our DNA gets imprinted with our experiences. And that imprint lasts about 14 lives.
Oh,
14
wow.
Yes. 14 lives. You know, there are people who say that you know, they're still young and they have these dreams about the war, the da. And apparently if you go back into history, their grandparents were Jews that were yes, and somehow the imprint, that's what they call it, an imprint is carried on, just like trauma, they say, is carried on, right? So that's why they say, pag buntis ka, wag kang umiyak, wag kang magkano, dahan-dahan, kasi you're imprinting.
You're already affecting your baby,
right? So, so you can imagine the connection between these, what they call small animal, cats and dogs, and humans.
That's
is very,
true.
very deep. And whether you like it or not, they're there.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
You know, so this is, it will be a really beneficial thing that you are also supporting, because there are other LGUs that they still need to, you know, catch up, and it's because they have so many needs.
Actually, ma'am, you'd also be surprised that every time I lobby or I speak on behalf of dogs or pets, like during the Taal eruption, sabi ko, kawawa naman yung mga aso't pusa na nandun. Kasi we have masks, but what about the stray dogs? Would you believe someone actually went and said, bakit yun iniisip mo, paano naman yung mga homeless? I mean, sabi ko, of course I have sympathy for the homeless, but they can also speak for themselves. But ba't mo mamasamain yung sympathy ko towards animals? It doesn't mean I sympathize any less from others. I'm just sharing, ma'am,
no.
na sad to say there are people that also react that way.
And I get that a lot. Na parang, all you're spending on all the animals, right?
How about daming naghihirap.
And I'm like, but how many people are taking care of the naghihirap? And some of the hirap can help themselves.
That's true. That's true too.
But who's gonna help these ones? And you know, we have we have a program called BARK, Biayas Acts of Random Kindness.
Oh, okay. It's cute.
And so we help the mga ngalakals.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We get their animals, we spay and neuter,
Mm-mm.
completely vaccinate, and we return it to them.
Oh, that's nice.
Because
Because
yun-
companion na nila.
Companion, because they also, if they sleep in their kariton,
That's true. Yeah,
they
they
need
do.
protection.
Yeah, yeah.
But they also, like, there's an older nanay that the dogs help push.
Mm-mm.
So we'll say,
So
"Hey,
even
pull."
they're educated about kapon.
Correct.
Mandalang yung iba dyan.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
exactly. No,
Yeah,
so it's really, and it's very interesting for me as a person, because you have people who have next to nothing
Yes.
and they know how to take care of the dog. Like, for example, there's some tricycle drivers here, and I've been helping them with their cats,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I get the cats, kapon, and then after a year, just after the pandemic, I receive, I'll send you the photo. I receive a absolute, yeah, I think green is absolute. No?
Yeah, water.
Like this, no? Na liter, it's a big one, gallon or something. The fruit stall vendors there, and some of the tricycle, they would put 2 pesos.
Mm-mm.
Do you know they gave me that thing?
Oh, that's so sweet of
And
them.
when I counted it, it was 10,000 pesos.
Oh, wow.
You know, paiyak ako.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but I
You know,
can't.
that's money they could
Yeah,
have
I
used.
said, I can't take this. Hindi po, ma'am, kasi tinutulungan niyo po kami.
Oy, grabe. Wow.
You should have seen. Talagang I could hold. Talagang,
Yeah. Because, you know, they need it.
They need it. Yung
Yeah.
ipon nila, yung piso-piso, yung ganon-ganon.
Whatever they could put aside.
Yeah.
And it's nice because they had you in mind for that. Like,
Yeah,
diba?
talaga. I was so touched. Sabi ko, oh my God. I mean, it's like, I don't deserve this.
Yeah. No, you do.
You know, I mean,
I really can't say you do because sabi ko nga, ma'am, when you were giving free coupon with us, I've been asking Doc Louie, paano sila? Kasi nahihiya.
Yeah. No, it'll work itself out.
I also believe that.
You know, the universe has its way.
Yeah, I agree.
And you have to have faith.
Yes.
Faith, and there's also faith. But there's faith, right?
Yes.
And that's what I always talk about. That what we do, it's like a prayer.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual, although I don't like to use that word so much, spiritual, because I don't want to lessen the meaning of it. But
Yes.
it's like a prayer. I pray to Saint Francis every time when we're supposed to catch a dog or a cat na parang sana nandyan pa rin kasi
Yes.
wala akong cage sa kotse na for
So you had to
whatever
leave for a while.
for a while, or
Um,
when we get a call na can we bring
Yes.
ganito ganon, it's really, it builds, and then you realize sometimes the animal doesn't make it a lot of the times because they're
They're too weak na.
yeah, they're too weak, or patong-patong, may bulate na, may blood parasite pa, may, you know, all in one, nasagasaan na. So it's like all stacked. The diseases are stacked, and you understand you have no control. You're helpless, sometimes hopeless, sometimes helpless, and just you soak in that, and it's like, you know, sometimes
You get
I have
moments
a hard,
like that.
yeah,
pa rin.
yeah, you like hard to breathe. It's actually hard to breathe. It's hard. It's really hard. But then you're like, okay, Lord, you know, this is what you want. And then, true enough, sometimes it happens. I don't get to catch the dog, but then I see a pregnant dog on my way out. So it's like, and I get to catch that one.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you didn't want me to get that one. You wanted me to get this
You
one.
had to get the one with a litter inside.
You know, instead of one, we might have 4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's like trust. I have a plan and trust in me.
Yes.
And so that kind of surrender has really built.
That's nice. Yeah.
Like a connection
Yes.
for me and the community, and you know, and for me, because I come from a very different background, to understand what, you know, I always get mad at these Pinoy men. They have no testicles, you know.
Yeah.
I get, because
Yeah.
it's like I feel like the women are really driving it, And then I get to understand,
The
you know,
cul-
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
the
The culture,
complexity,
the
the
ano,
complexities, and I always say, you know, the Richardson's paradox. The more you look at something, the more complicated it gets. It
Yes.
doesn't get any simpler.
Yes.
But there's beauty in complexity.
That's true. I
and
agree.
you discover a lot about yourself. That's
Yes.
what, you know, so
And actually, most of the time, how we react and see things is also a reflection of who we are. So
Correct.
it's nice that you're learning more and mas ano na tayo.
yeah, no, and you know,
Nag-immerse pa more.
yeah, and I think also to have the humility to say you don't know everything.
That's true. Yeah. And all of us, even me, I had to be humbled so many times too.
Diba? You really have to fall flat on your face.
And then sometimes you have to accept it and say, na, okay, maybe that's not my direction.
Yeah.
I might just have to revert and go somewhere else. And
Well, talking about direction, that's also because this animal welfare thing is a long road.
Mhm.
It's a long-
We are just solving few problems now,
Yeah,
but we know there are more problems. We're just doing dogs and cats. I also used to have birds, and it
Yeah.
was so hard for me to find a vet for birds.
Yeah, you know, so
And there are so many bird lovers here in Mandaluyong.
yeah, no, and so I read a quotation. It's actually somebody who was teaching how to write,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he said, you don't have to be able to see the destination to make it.
Mm.
You just need to see 1 or 2 meters ahead
Mm-hmm.
and keep driving 1 or 2 meters ahead very slowly.
Yes.
And you don't need to see where you're going to
Mm.
get there.
Mm.
So, yeah, this is again a character building
Yes.
way of life.
Mhm.
It's become a way of life.
Yes.
Okay. So, ma'am, what message do you have to Mandaleños, to the general public?
So sa ating mga kabayaya and to the Mandaleños listening right now, we got deep. We got into philosophy and everything, but it's true. I really believe that leadership should encompass everyone, and by everyone I mean even our fur pets. So I'm glad that we have Biyaya here in Mandaluyong. Ma'am, actually, when you were saying that you came from a very different background, I wanted to ask, how did you end up here? But I don't mean it in the wrong way. I actually mean it in a happy way, because we're so lucky that Biyaya is here right now.
I've been rescued since I'm 5 years
Oh,
old.
wow.
My lolo taught me.
Ma'am, we'll have 100 more years of that. So,
I hope so.
yung sa akin lang po, to the listeners, I will accept feedback and criticism. We know that in Mandaluyong, there are many more things we can do. We have prioritizations, but at the same time, we must never neglect those with fur and legs, more than 2 legs. So, ang sa akin lang, please also support us. Let's go hand in hand. Kami na po yung bababa sa community. And if anyone has other ideas, other innovations, we're very much open to that, because we want, for Mandaluyong, although we are at the center of Metro Manila, we want it to be a harmonious, safe community, not just for everyone, but also for our pets. So you know what, for me, ma'am, you mentioned na you might be afraid to go for your destination, take it one step at a time. For me, let's still get that goal.
Yes, it's still a goal.
Let's get the goal na
Oo.
zero strays, zero
Yes.
suffering of
Oo.
animals, even if our path means looping
ganun,
around,
correct.
bababa, magsuswim, lalangoy, lilipad.
Correct,
Whatever
correct.
it takes, we will take it one step at a time.
Yeah,
ma'am.
one step at a time. And
Yeah. And
As
actually,
long as-
today lang I had the idea na for our test for
see?
the veterinary.
diba?
So.
But that happened because we communicated.
Yes, ma'am.
We were
yes.
able to set aside time and reveal our innermost
Yes.
without fear of being judged.
Yes.
Without fear of whatever, or not measuring up. You know,
Yes.
these are the problems. Fear is a big problem.
That's it, yeah.
And I'm glad you encouraged your Mandaleños to give feedback, because parang sometimes you feel, hindi naman ako maririnig, or they're not
Yes.
gonna listen to me, or what do I know? No. You never know.
Yes.
You never know what small idea
Yes.
can be planted
Yes.
for a big harvest.
Yes. As ma'am said, no, not one person knows everything. So there might be things that we're seeing that you're not seeing, and there's definitely things that you can see that we might not be seeing. So feedback is feedback. It shouldn't be what's that? Criticism. It shouldn't be
Always positive.
Always positive, yeah.
That's what I tell yung mga ibang
Basta walang insulto. Yun lang.
No, that's what I always tell people. Don't give me your problem. Think about the solution.
Yes.
If you can think about the solution, sige, game.
Tulungan tayo.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you, it'll work, this one won't work. Why do you think that will work? And then we can talk.
Yes.
And that communication is precious.
Yes.
Oo.
So there. Thank you again.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. I have to plug, ha?
Okay.
Thank you, Cafe 2.0 over there, Mandala Park. And thank you to Ayala Malls for always supporting us, ha? Take care, mga kabiyaya. Until next time, ha? Okay. Hello, mga kabiyaya. Barks and Burps, a podcats, is composed of 3 people. Me, Rina Ortiz.
Albert Gamino.
Alcer Pineda.
We are here to discuss anything under veterinary services, rescues, adoptions, TNVR, animal welfare, responsible pet ownerships. Anything and everything as well in between. Kung nais po ninyong magiging isang biyaya sa aming mga alagang aso't pusa, please comment below or message our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. Maraming salamat.